Hi, so I did a very brief overview of the actual iPad Pro. So this is the iPad Pro, 128 gigabytes with connected to the Apple Bluetooth keyboard. And in this video, I'm gonna give you my overall impressions since I've had the iPad Pro for now 2 weeks. And let me start off by giving you guys a sketch of all the things that I think are some really good highlights of the iPad Pro. So we discussed multiview earlier in my early videos, the productivity applications. OneNote works amazingly well with any types of pencil or stylus. What I'm using here is a Wacom stylus, and it actually works really well. I haven't had the need of ordering the Apple Pencil. I don't think I'll need it since I use this for simple sketching and for writing and highlighting texts and PDFs. So in my previous video, I discussed how you can use OneNote, the Office package, alongside Notes and Pages. So combining these two is actually giving me a really pleasant experience between having the Office package on my MacBook Pro. So I use a MacBook Pro daily, as it used to be my daily driver. It's a 15-inch from 2011 with a maxed out 512 gigabytes of storage and the anti-glare screen that used to come as an optional order. So what I've highlighted here is some key points that I think are worth mentioning. I discussed multiview. It works extremely well. It's really polished. There are no crashes. Overall, iOS 9 seems extremely polished in handling multitasking on the iPad Pro. I don't know if that's the 4 gigabytes of RAM or something else that makes it pop or stand out. And the experience has been flawless in any application I've used. The keyboard, I'm not talking about this Bluetooth connected keyboard. I'm talking about the iOS 9 software keyboard. On this 13-inch iPad Pro, I will promise you that after a couple of days, you will ditch this behind and use only the software keyboard. And I use Swedish as my main language. And the cool thing about the software keyboard, if I use it here, as I can show you, I've written some highlights. So I can use the actual keyboard here, as you can see. But if I attach or unattach the actual keyboard, let's unattach it. So let's see if we can use this. Here we go, the software keyboard. So the one thing that I actually love that I miss on my MacBook Pro is the ability to use the double tapping to highlight text, to move around as a cursor, as a mouse. I don't know if you can see that with my my phone. So I can actually double tap to highlight, and if I double tap and hold, I can continue where I am and just highlight the text, choose the actual heading, and so on. So that's been really great. And you can see you can have shortcuts to undo and copy and paste and so on. So that's been really helpful. And basically being my daily driver in cafeterias, on airplanes, or wherever I'm traveling, and I use the actual keyboard, and I have no issues there whatsoever. It works extremely well, and I can use that in combination with the multiview. So if I open up OneNote here, I can actually just continue writing at the same time and jumping back and forth between different applications. And as soon as I turn it off, and if I jump to OneNote, I can draw some stuff. I mentioned this in my earlier video that the refresh rate works really well. And I've mentioned some highlights about OneNote. You can check out the other video regarding attaching PDF and using an overview, and you can highlight the actual text and sketch and so on. So that's been extremely well. And if I show you one more thing that is great about the software keyboard, so if I write here, and I can actually just jump back to where I was on the keyboard here, and continue where I am. So that experience with the multiview and the software keyboard has been exceptionally good. So moving back to where we were regarding some other tips and tricks. So let's talk about the Bluetooth keyboard. So if you happen to use or want to use it for heavy text writing, the software keyboard works great. So if I just attach it here, let's see if it's attached. Yes, it is. So as you can see here, I can use the commands as Control Tab, and I can move between different applications. The other cool thing is exiting back to home button. So if I go back to Notes, and if I press Command and Home, so what you see here is, Command and space. It's just like the MacBook Pro. I completely forgot. So if I press Command and space, I will be directed back to the search, and I can actually type Word and go back to where we were in the actual document. And there is actually a very tricky home button. So if I choose Command, Shift, and H, as you can see, we're back to home screen. So Command, space, I use that a lot to just draw and open up the applications, and Command, Shift, H. Command, Shift, and H, and we're back. So if you're ever confused about the actual keyboard shortcuts, Apple has made it really helpful by pressing the Command button, and you will get the shortcuts right here. So one cool thing about the shortcuts that I've discovered is in Safari. So if we tap to Safari browser, and if you press that Command button, you'll have specific shortcuts in different applications. So if you go to Pages, for instance, and you word editing, you can press the Command button and you see copy and paste and move text and highlight and so on. So the cool thing about the browser is you can actually previous tab and alt tab in the actual Safari browser between tabs instead of multitasking. It's called, I think it's called pinching, when you pinch out of an actual page. So that's been great. I don't use the actual Bluetooth keyboard a lot. I only use the software keyboard. So music. We haven't talked about music. We talked about the stylus, this Wacom stylus here, and the refresh rate of the screen, which makes it exceptionally well for drawing and using it as, this is a print screen picture. So if I go back here, so let's discuss photo editing, video editing, and music. So we haven't talked about music. I used to work as a DJ, and it's kind of fun to jump around and do some hobby DJing, and you can do that here. What I've discovered over the years is that the iPad, the iOS, has a very low latency on the actual when it comes to music creation and DJing. So if I press a tab here, as you can see, if I move it here, I can use that. Let's try that. You got the drill. So So as you can see here, what I've done is actually created some cues in the DJing application, and if I press play, as you can see, so it's pretty easy to fade in and loop some songs and so on. So you get the drill. Multitasking has been amazing, no lags whatsoever. and I can open up some heavier applications. So GarageBand is a pretty heavy application. And if I use the keyboard shortcuts again, so let's open up GarageBand. So GarageBand has been working exceptionally well, especially with the last update with their own loops. So if we open up a loop here, let me show you how that works. And you can open up effects. So as you can see here, you can have multiple effects. So GarageBand, nice. What else do we have? We talked about DJing, we talked about music creation, the Adobe suite, and the different photo and video editing. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Photoshop and Adobe Draw. So they have similar and a slimmed down version of the actual application. So what's been really working really well for me is, oh no thanks, I don't want to rate your app, something called AirDrop, which means I can take some application, some videos and pictures on my 6S Plus, and as you can see here, I don't know if the screen is bright enough for you to see. Let's see if that is a bit better. So I've been using my 6S Plus to grab some pictures and then use the iPad Pro for video and photo editing. And another cool application is Adobe Draw, which is very similar to Pro Maker. It's a bit more slimmed down, and you can use some layers to highlight. And what I found is that you don't need to be a very skilled artist. You can actually just use something called a photo layer. So it means that you can put a sketching photo in the background and then use the pencil to draw and then add multiple layers and so on. So that's been really cool. Another cool thing is the ability to, I've set some fast shortcuts instead of using the home button. So I use something called a triple click to activate night mode. And this is something that blows my mind when I am reading at night or using it for word processing at night. This is something that I discovered recently on the iPad Pro, is that the screen, the RGB and the color of the actual iPad Pro makes it super comfortable for your eyes. I've discovered that the blacks are actually really it feels darker and it's much easier on the eyes than using, say, my MacBook Pro. And mind you, I have a MacBook Pro 2011 with the anti-glare screen. So this is almost as close as the anti-glare screen that you used to order from the Apple Store. So obviously this is an expensive display, the component that they've used here. So this has been an amazing experience for me, and I have to say I haven't touched my MacBook Pro for at least 2 weeks now. That's about it, and let me know if you guys have any questions whatsoever. So I've discussed music editing, recording music, DJing, photo editing, video editing, word processing, YouTubing, Netflix. What else do you need a laptop for? If you don't do heavy CAD renderings or other stuff that require a super gigantic good processor or a Windows computer that your company is dependent on. So this has been a great experience and thumbs up from my part. So let me guys know if you need any other input regarding the iPad Pro, and catch you soon. Bye for now.